Hello everybody, I'm Thrash Maniac HD, and I have a different type of video for you guys. Excuse me. Yeah, I have a different type of video for you guys, as you can see in the tile below. This is the first ever Walking Dead episode review I'm doing. I just got done watching the newest episode of Walking Dead, and yes, I am a big fan of the show. However, I didn't really get into the show until earlier in this year when I was watching it on Netflix with my brother. And then we caught up to season 3 during the summertime. And then season 4's happened, and we've been watching every single episode since. So I thought, since I was by myself for this episode to watch, I figured I'd do a review on it. So, and also for those who haven't watched the episode yet, there are spoilers in this episode, so you might not want to watch this video if you haven't seen the episode yet. But pretty much the whole episode was basically about the governor, because we saw at the end of last week's episode, we saw the governor sitting on a chair by the prison. And immediately I thought, oh no, this can't be good news at all. This cannot be good. But we get an episode this week where it started off from where we left off from the governor at the finale of season 3, after he went mad crazy and shot all those people who were going to take the prison, except for his 2 henchmen. And then they were driving back, and they went through and stayed in a camp, and I guess the 2 henchmen left, and I'll get to about one of them later in this video. But after a while, the governor came out. I think after a couple nights, the governor came out of the tent, and nobody was there but himself. And so he was driving around, and he went back to Woodbury to see what was going on, and it was overrun by walkers. So he sat out alone, and I could not stop but laugh when I saw the governor with the mullet and the beard he had going. I'm like, dude, how much has he looked like shit since season 3? You know? But then eventually he found his way into a hotel, and a few rooms were filled with some people, a family, 2 sisters, a grandfather, and a little girl. I think it was one of the sisters' daughters, I believe. I'm not sure. But I know there was Grandpa Don, Megan, and Lily. I'm not sure who the second sister was. If somebody does know, let me know so I can remember. But they took the governor, and they took Philip in to stay a night because he went through a lot. And then they found out that the grandpa was gonna die from lack of oxygen, because he's had oxygen tanks since the whole zombie apocalypse disease is spread. But yet it's like, wow, I can't believe these people have been in that hotel for nearly 2 years. That it seems like at this point, more like well over a year, at least for like the show's timeline. Even though the show's been around for 3 years, it's like their timeline is like from season 1 to currently. It's like a whole like over a year timeline between season 1 and season 4 as far as events. So the governor gets took into this hotel by the family, and he felt better than he'd had in a long time, ever since his family was killed, his wife and his daughter. Of course, we know that his daughter, he kept her as a walker, and then the walker died from Michonne last season, and then got stabbed in the eye with the shard of glass by Michonne. But yeah, it seems that from how he was treating the family and how they were treating him, it seems like the governor's starting to change his ways, starting to not be so psychotic, maybe starting to understand things better. That was until the very end, after he killed 3 or 4 walkers inside of a 6 feet under hole when he was trying to save the little girl Megan, after they had to leave the hotel after the grandfather died, and killed him with an oxygen tank to stop him from getting the others, and blood all over his bed, so they couldn't stay in the hotel. So they were driving to try to find somewhere else to live, and then their truck wouldn't start, and then they had to keep walking on foot until they saw a whole bunch of walkers, and they were running away. And then when Philip had Megan in his arms trying to run to escape, they fell into that hole with 3 or 4 walkers. But Governor killed him with his bare hands by pulling into his throat and pulling it out. I thought that was pretty crazy and intense. And then bashing his head in and stabbing him in the head with the knife he had saved Megan's life. And then we see I forget the short-haired black guy or something like that, henchman of the governor's from season 3. I forget his name, but he returned and was like, "Oh, holy shit! Like, I can't believe I found you again." And I guess I don't know what happened to the bigger black guy. Maybe he's dead or he's still there. I'm not sure. But then we get the sneak peek for the new episode. And actually, at the time I'm recording this, I'm watching Talking Dead. So we're getting the inside scoop from David Morrissey himself, the guy who plays the governor. And I gotta say, the governor is one hell of a character. And I guess from the sneak preview, it's not really a spoiler, it's just a sneak peek, but from the looks of it, the governor's found one of his henchmen, and he found some people, and the family he was with are going to join them, and they're going to try to survive. But the question is the governor going to convince him about Rick and the guys and the people at the prison and go after them again? I don't know. And hell, later tonight, as that, excuse me, I had the hiccups for a second, but it looks like that from the poll that they showed on Talking Dead just a second ago from watching, they're doing a poll about if the governor's changed, and they said yes, he maybe found a reason to live, or no, he's just pure evil. And I'm on the fence because, yeah, it's unpredictable with the governor, whether he's sympathetic of something or wanting to kill something. But in this whole episode, he seemed like he changed a lot. Like, he cared about those people and cared about Meg because it felt like he's like, this is the first time he's ever held on to a daughter or a little girl in a long time, which was a pretty emotional moment on the show. But now that he found one of his henchmen, I don't know, it's going to be... And next week's episode looks to be more all about the governor again, which will be interesting to see. But I was kind of hoping maybe next week. I know this week I could understand they were wanting to catch up with the governor, but I was kind of hoping for next week. Kind of hoping maybe they'll do it. I'm not sure, but hopefully next week we could see a little bit of Rick and Daryl and all them. Because still we need to find out about whether or not the medicine worked and helped Glenn and all those people who were sick in the prison. And if they got cured from the fever, not the zombie apocalypse disease, but like the fever that they caught from somebody at the prison, from that poor kid who died in the very first episode, drowning in his own blood. But that does it for this review of Walking Dead. I believe this is the 6th episode of Season 4 out of 16, I understand, for the schedule they've got. And actually, now we get the poll. Yeah, do you think the governor has changed for the better? And the choices are yes, he might have found a reason to live now, or no, he's just pure evil. I'm 50-50 about it. But, yeah. But anyways, that does it for, episode 6 of Season 4 Walking Dead review. I might do these sometimes. I ain't going to do them on a consistent rate like I do the NXT reviews. But maybe for a certain episode, I may review it like either the night of or the day after the episode. I don't know. But yeah, this was something different for me to do a review of probably my favorite current TV show. It's really like the only really good TV show out there now, because I heard like shows like Dexter and Breaking Bad are over, and now all you got is Walking Dead, basically. But yeah, I love Walking Dead. I've loved it ever since I watched it on Netflix earlier in the year. If I had to say my favorite characters, it'd be Rick, Glenn, Maggie, Herschel, and Daryl. Those are my 5 favorite characters. My favorite, my favorite dead characters would be Lori, Dale, T-Dog, Shane, and actually the 2 prisoners that were at the prison with them as part of the group, Oscar and Axel. But the ones I miss the most are Dale and T-Dog, especially Dale. Dale, he was just great. It's a shame that he's not on the show anymore. And Shane, yeah, he was a crazy dude in the 2nd season, but I liked what he was doing for the most part. But yeah. And that does it for this review. Peace.